Good morning, good morning, good morning, Flashes. Happy Tuesday. I hope y'all are having a fantastic morning or afternoon. So don't forget, if you are not finished with yesterday's assignment, you can go back and complete that after you finish today. Remember, you do have 7 days to complete these assignments. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and dive right into today's lesson, Christianity in Rome. So that should be an interesting topic. All right, so where did Christianity come from? If you recall from Unit 2, which was Cultures, we did explore Christianity, and we talked about it very briefly. So today we're going to talk about how Christianity was received or not received in the Roman Empire. So the Jewish people are living in Judea, which is in Israel. And Jesus is born around 4 BCE. Remember, Jesus is supposed to be the Son of God, and he goes around proclaiming this message and performing miracles. He gains lots of followers, and people turn from their current faith and start following this man who is a Jewish man. And he is upsetting the Jewish leaders because he's proclaiming to be the Son of God. And the Jewish people, they've been waiting for the Messiah this whole time. So when this man comes along proclaiming to be the Messiah, they're really confused about that, right? So he does upset a lot of Jewish followers, and he begins breaking the Roman law for proclaiming himself the King of Jews. So as he's breaking Roman laws, we're going to see how the Roman Empire starts to respond to people who follow him and people who start practicing Christianity. Now, how is Rome involved in all of this? Well, many Jews are currently living in the Roman Republic and Empire as lower class citizens. So they are citizens of the Roman Empire. And before that, it was the Roman Republic. So the Jewish people are living in Rome. And Pompey, this guy Pompey, he actually conquers Judea in 64 BCE. And the Jews don't really like Roman leaders, so a Jew is actually going to be appointed king of Judea, and that is Herod the Great. Now, here's the deal. Herod the Great is really not so great because what he does is actually selling out his own people. So he begins to sell out the Jewish people, which eventually leads to the persecution of Christians. He sells them out by letting the Roman Republic know where these Christians are, and he's just not that great. So while the Jewish people thought it was great to put a Jewish man in power, it actually comes back, and it's not the best situation for them. And eventually, in 6 AD, Rome does take back over Judea. So we're moving on, and why didn't the pagans like Christians? So paganism is literally believing in Roman gods. And if you remember, polytheism is the belief in many gods, whereas monotheism is the belief in one God. And Christians are monotheistic, whereas right now the Romans are polytheistic. They believe in many gods. So there's going to be this clash of cultures and this clash of ideas going on within the Roman Empire. And Christians, they're not going to participate in any of the Roman feasts or any of the Roman festivals that are so popular. So you're not going to see a lot of celebrations going on between these two faiths. Christians are also very private, and sometimes when people are private with their lives, it's hard to gain relationship and gain trust amongst one another. And lastly, Jesus was the king. And so therefore, if he's the king, the Christians aren't going to have much faith or follow the Roman emperor. And that kind of leads to their persecution in Rome. So the persecution literally means the mistreatment for religious beliefs. And emperors had different opinions based on who they were as emperors. 4 of 5 out of the good emperors actually persecuted Christians, one of which, Nero, had them literally burned alive. In 303 CE, it escalates, and Diocletian increases the persecution of Christians. And it's not just that he persecutes Christians, but he persecutes anyone who refuses to offer sacrifices to Roman gods. So if you remember what I talked about on the last slide was how Christians were very private about their lives. It was because, if you remember from yesterday, it was illegal to be a Christian. So many Christians practiced privately and didn't really announce publicly that they were Christians, but they just refused to offer sacrifices. So now what's going on in 303 is that if you refuse to offer sacrifices to these Roman gods, you're actually persecuted more severely. So it's not only are you persecuted if you're a Christian, but if you're a Christian privately and you refuse to offer these sacrifices, you're going to be persecuted. Until the man Constantine comes into power. So here's Constantine, and in 306 CE, Constantine is an emperor of Rome. And he's educated about Christianity by his mother. So he's receiving all of this education about who Christians are, what they believe, what they don't believe, and some of their really pillars of their faith. And in 313, he ends up passing the Edict of Milan, which outlaws the persecution of Christians in Rome. So this is huge for Christians. They're no longer going to be burned alive or eaten by lions or killed by gladiators. They are just going to be able to finally practice their faith. So Constantine was really a great man for the Christian faith. And shortly after he announces that he had converted to Christianity, he actually had received a vision prior to that on the battlefield. He was sleeping one night, and before he was going to battle, he received this vision, and he was to put the Roman symbol, or the Christian symbol on the shield. And he does that, excuse me. Sorry, guys, sometimes I need my coffee. So anyways, in this vision, he's to put the Christian symbol on the shield. And so he does this, and he puts the Christian symbol on his shield, and he's actually very victorious in this battle. So because of this vision, he converts to Christianity. And on his deathbed, he gets baptized, which is essentially the final symbol of his conversion to Christianity. So Constantine, throughout his rule and throughout his reign, he began to destroy Roman temples. He also changed pagan holidays to match celebrations in Christianity. Many Romans began to convert to Christianity, so that's really that's huge for Christianity and the spread of Christianity. And here's what you guys really need to understand. In 381 CE, Emperor Theodosius outlaws polytheism, and Christianity becomes the official religion of Rome. So Theodosius says, hey, here's the deal. Constantine outlawed the persecution of Christianity, but I'm going to go a step further, and I'm going to say it's illegal to be a pagan. It's illegal to worship the Roman gods, and the only Roman religion that is accepted now is Christianity. And then here's kind of where Theodosius takes it a little bit further than he should. There's always a line that you have to draw, right? And I call that your moral compass, and you always have to kind of guide yourself along this moral compass. And Theodosius takes this a little bit too far, in my opinion. And so first he outlaws paganism, which, okay, whatever, Theodosius. But then he decides that, hey, not only am I going to outlaw paganism, but if you are a pagan, I'm going to persecute you. So he massacres pagans, and that really goes against what the Christians want, because Christians really wanted the pagans to be treated with kindness and compassion. And inevitably, he was the last emperor of Rome. So that's all I have for you guys today. Go ahead and continue working through the slides. And if you guys have any questions, remember you can email me.